March 12th, 2020. From El Cajon, California, this is episode 204 of You Can Bet On That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet On That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Duvall, and sitting across from me is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
And we've got a special guest with us also for this episode from the 7 Out podcast, Vinny Chenz. Vinny, welcome to the show.
Hello, Mark and Dr. Mike. I greatly appreciate it. It's quite the honor.
Yeah, it's nice to have you.
You know, last episode we talked about how, let's talk about some March Madness pools. And I said, I'm going to contact Vinny because he and Big Joe, they are always talking about the different kinds of pools that they do, whether it's for football or basketball or everything. And so I think Vinny's probably got a pretty good knowledge of some pools that maybe we are not familiar with.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to maybe one we haven't heard of.
Yeah.
Because that, then there'll be something new for us to try.
Yeah, football has a ton more pools that people are probably more commonplace. The NFL is huge with different types of pools. But yeah, March Madness, besides the original type of bracket pool, I don't think people really know the different variations that they could get involved in.
Yeah. Well, let's cover a couple things first. First of all, this last week on Saturday Night Live, Daniel Craig was the host. And of course, he's James Bond. He's going to be in the next James Bond movie. And at the beginning, during his monologue, he played a clip, so-called clip, from the new movie. And what it was he went into a casino with some woman that's going to give him some information, and he got distracted by the craps table. And the big joke is that he gets so excited as he starts rolling. He establishes a point, he's rolling hard ways, and he's winning all this money, that he's completely ignoring his mission. People are trying to tell him important things, and it said, come on. And they did a pretty good job of, how whenever you see gambling on TV, it's like, they got something
weird,
wrong.
Yeah.
And at one point, he did use two hands to shake the dice, which, of course,
that's
is
a pet peeve. Yeah.
But anyway, I knew we were going to be bombarded from listeners. All sorts of listeners said, hey, have you seen this clip? Have you seen this clip? I said, yeah, because Sherry and I actually watched it live. But Mike and Vinny, you haven't seen it.
Yeah, I'll go home and watch it.
Yeah, for sure. I had not seen it. And it's funny, my friends and I call that the crazy eye. When you bring someone who's never gambled before to a casino and they just get completely enamored by everything and forget everything else that's going on around them. So I definitely want to check this out.
So check it. It's everywhere. Just do like a search on Daniel Craig craps, although I don't know if you want to do that now that I think about it.
So who's the best James Bond? Now, I hope the three of us can all agree that it's between Daniel Craig and Sean Connery.
Well, I'd have to say Sean Connery. Yeah, I mean, I guess
you still go with Daniel Craig is very good.
Yeah, he's good. It's different.
It's a little different than Sean Connery, but Roger Moore's a distant third.
I don't know. Roger Moore to me might be the bottom.
Really? I put him at the third.
I think my age group, just because when I grew up, when I think of James Bond, I think of Sean Connery. And I think it's just, again, I'm just around that 40-year-old age group. So although Daniel Craig is obviously popular and doing great, I still think Connery.
Yeah, I think you could go. I would go with either of those two, and I could flip back and forth.
George Lazenby. That's mine.
Lazenby.
He was in one movie.
Okay.
Who is that? That other guy he only did like one.
It's not Timothy Dalton. Are you thinking of Pierce Brosnan?
Yeah, Pierce Brosnan. Yeah.
You didn't like him?
No. Okay. He was just a little too girly for me.
Girly?
Yeah, just, he was suave and sophisticated, but there was no real toughness. Sean Connery, he had that toughness too.
Yeah, a man's man.
A man's man, but still gets a lot of women, right?
There was one early one, though, where he talks about how he hates the Beatles. Right, because it would have been in that era, right, where people his age just hate the Beatles. I don't know. James Bond hates the Beatles? That doesn't seem right.
Weird.
All right, before we move on to March Madness, we've got a story here. Unfortunately, an unpleasant story, but it's a big enough story that I think we do need to talk about it. So, Monday this week, the Department of Justice charged 27 people, trainers, veterinarians, and drug distributors, with illegally doping racehorses. U.S. Attorney Jeffrey S. Berman said these defendants engaged in this conduct not for the love of the sport and certainly not out of concern for the horses, but for money. And it was the racehorses that paid the price for the defendants' greed. According to Berman, the horses were injected and force-fed all manner of illegal and experimental drugs that allowed the horses to run unnaturally fast and to mask pain, which can lead to injuries and death. Now, one of the defendants is Jason Service, the trainer of Maximum Security, who you'll recall is the horse that crossed the finish line first in last year's Kentucky Derby, but who was disqualified for an on-track infraction, right? So, his doping might have been one of the reasons he came in first place, right?
And that's the Derby is when the 65, I think, to 1 or so favorite ended up, going to the top and winning, right?
That's right. That's right. It was a long shot that
was
won.
a big issue.
Yeah, definitely. Did we pick that horse? I can't remember what happened, but it seemed like it helped us somehow.
I remember you guys had some action.
Yeah.
I remember following it.
It seemed like it helped us somehow.
Well, I'll tell you, this is a black eye for an industry that really can't afford it. The popularity of horse racing had been waning the last few decades anyway, and then it got a boost because we had Triple Crown winners in 2015 and 2018, and it looked like maybe it was coming back. But, all those deaths at Santa Anita last year.
Yeah.
And now this.
Horse racing just won't be around very long.
This is a rough one.
It's unfortunate because I grew up, my family was big with horse racing. You guys may recall my 18th birthday was spent at Belmont Racetrack. I mean, it was a big part of my childhood. And yeah, as I've gotten older and maybe my love for animals has taken over, I don't enjoy it as much. And when I hear something like this, when you brought it to my attention, Mark, it's sad to me. It's really unfortunate, and I agree. I don't think it's going to be around in the next decade.
Yeah, it is sad. And we've got kind of similar experiences because when we turned 18, that was the only gambling we could do around here.
Right.
There weren't casinos that allowed 18.
Racetrack.
Well, there wasn't anything really. It was basically, we'd go to Del Mar.
We went to Del Mar quite often.
And bet on the horses.
And do you guys remember the last time I felt like this? Do you guys remember the HBO show Luck that was really based around horse racing? And I think on set, a bunch of horses had passed away.
Oh,
or
that's
died
right.
As well, and then they just cut it short.
That's right. I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
It really is a shame. And doggone it, here we are talking. This is the second episode in a row now where we're talking about cheating.
Right.
In sports.
Yeah.
Well, money, Mark.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Money involved,
Yeah,
right?
I know.
I mean, is it surprising that somebody did something nefarious for money?
Yeah.
And it's so sad. I mean, they're killing horses to make them run unnaturally fast and to mass pain.
Yeah.
Put the money into making me stand up longer at a craps table without pain.
Exactly.
That's money well spent, right?
I have to agree with you, Dr. Mike, because it's getting
that's,
rough.
That's
wouldn't you
something
guys
they can
agree?
do. I'm down to maybe 7-8 hours, and then I got to take a break. It's ridiculous.
Wouldn't you agree to, I understand athletes, if they're doping and doing things like that. We as fans probably want to see the best and the biggest athletes. I don't think we need to see the fastest racehorses. I think we'd be okay if we just saw a bunch of random horses running around the track. Why does it have to be for so much money, and why does it have to be that they have to feel the need to dope these poor animals?
Right.
Maybe it becomes more of a recreational thing in the future.
That's a really good point because, and I've said this a million times to people, any sporting event to me is exciting if it's competitive.
Right.
So I can be at a game. I can be at my cousin's little kid's Pop Warner football game. And if it's, 7-7 and it's coming towards the end of the game, I'm excited. They're not getting any money. It's crappy football. I mean, but seriously, that's what, for me, excitement is when games are close and they're competitive.
Close games. I mean.
Right. They're competitive.
Yeah.
And when they're not competitive, so I don't need to see the fastest horse or the best NBA players. I just need competitiveness. Isn't that why college basketball is so much better than the NBA?
Well, I watch a lot more college basketball than I do the NBA.
I do too, because
NBA,
it's so much more
people.
competitive and it's so much more exciting, right?
Mike, do you remember years ago we went to a high school football game?
At Grossmont.
It was Grossmont playing.
Yeah,
we both went to the same high school, and
I remember
it was pretty lopsided. But then our team, I think it was 3 onside kicks in a row to come back and win the game.
Right. And
that was one of the most exciting sporting events I ever went to.
And that's all you need. That's all a person
burned in your
needs.
mind.
The money has ruined everything. And people do things because, they can make more money, right?
Yeah. Well, Mike,
I think even in the article, Mark, it talked about how Maximum Overdrive, he was probably doped when he won the richest race of the year. I think it was the Saudi Cup. And it
That's
was,
right.
What, tens of millions, $50 million or something like that?
Yeah. It's really terrible. But again, I don't like talking about it, but I feel like we have to. I mean,
it's sad that it's going to go away.
It is.
Because at one point, I really enjoyed going to horse racing.
Yeah. But if at the highest level they're doing this to these horses, oh boy.
Yeah. Imagine what the lower levels are like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Ugh.
Well, actually, Mike and I have decided to stop betting on horse racing. In fact, we had an account at TVG we just cashed out. So going forward, that's not going to be...
Taking a stand.
Yeah, well, I guess.
A minor stand.
Gotta take a stand somewhere.
We're concentrating on human sports now. Speaking of human sports, let's get on to March Madness. Now, we all love March Madness. The great thing about March Madness is it's hyped like crazy, and then it lives up to the hype.
There is nothing in sports, period, more exciting than like a 13-seeded team knocking off a high-seeded team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's so exciting. And, when the fans rush out there at the end of the game and the players are going crazy, and then you're like, well, now they're going to play another better team, in 2 days. Yeah. Can they beat them too?
Those first 4 days are so great. Yeah.
And have you guys actually ever, attended one of the March Madness games, or even maybe been to Vegas while, March Madness was happening?
No, and it's I'm kind of embarrassed to say it because there have been plenty of games played here in San Diego,
right?
And usually it's that, I don't know, Thursday or Friday I'd have to take off work.
They're always on Thursday and Friday and we're working. It's like, should I take off work?
And we keep talking about going during that first weekend, going to Vegas. Eventually we will, but we never have. So, yeah, but eventually we will.
I've done it a couple of years, and it's a great experience because, as you know, all the venues hold these big events, where it's more than just going to the sports book.
Mm-hmm.
You have a huge area with TVs and alcohol and food. Actually, I have a trip that's booked, but obviously with everything going on right now, we're second guessing ourselves.
Yeah.
One of my patients just got back from the Mountain West tournament in Vegas at the Thomas and Mack. And she was telling me, she's a huge basketball fan, huge Aztec fan, but she got tickets to all the games while they were there. Uh-huh. And she said on that one day, they're sitting through 4 basketball games, none of them with the Aztecs, right? It's just other teams. And she loved it. I mean, that's how exciting it is. She said, my bottom sure hurt though, 4 basketball games in a row.
All right, well, let's talk about some of the pools that you can enter for March Madness. And let's just start with kind of the most basic pool, and then we're going to throw it over to Vinny and see if he can give us some other examples. But basically, the most common pool is you've got the bracket. Once all the teams have been chosen, you've got the bracket. You have to fill out the bracket completely all the way to, the championship game and pick a winner. And then as the tournament goes on, you get a certain number of points for the games that you win. Probably more points on, as the rounds continue, right? Something like that. And that's the most common. Maybe you get 1 point for any win in the first round and 2 in the second round, maybe 3 or 4 in the third round and so on. And then at the end, whoever
Mark,
has the most.
Traditionally, it is, as you said, it's 1 point in the first round, 2 in the second, 4 in the Sweet 16. Elite 8 is always 8, Final Four 16, and the championship 32. Yeah. That's like the standard bracket pool for the most part. So
what are some other kinds of pools that you have either played in or you've heard about?
So there's a bunch that I've been doing for many, many years. And it's weird. I don't follow too much college basketball throughout the season, but as soon as March Madness comes around, I try to become an myself. I am. And besides the original bracket pools, which, people do in the office, people do it with friends, sometimes for money, some for not, there are variations that have come up from that same kind of style, the bracket, where you fill out every game, you pick a winner for every game. And as just mentioned, usually there's some sort of point value that's given to each win that you have per round that escalates to the championship game. Now, people then started to, put some different variables to that. One being like an underdog type pool, where they said, now you're going to get X amount of points per round, but if a 13 seed beats a 4 seed and you pick that 13 seed, you're going to get that 9-point differential added to the bracket, right?
Okay,
so it's an underdog pool. And this allows people to really go for those upsets, because anyone can fill out a bracket that has the Final Four being 1s and 2 seeds, but now you're going to have some 8s and 10 seeds in there because you want those underdog points. That's a big one that I happen to enjoy. Nice.
So in this example, it's basically just the differential in the seeds. Is that what you're saying?
That's right. We call that an underdog pool. You just get an additional bonus points. That's the value. So if a 13 beats a 4, you get 9. If you happen to take a 4 over 13, you just don't get the bonus points. You get just the round points. Okay. Now it's interesting because I have heard about pools where you get your seed number times, say, the round number. So in your example, if it was like a 4 and a 13 in the first round, you'd get 4 points if your 4 wins, 13 points if your 13 wins. Then in the next round,
a 4 would be worth maybe 8 points, and the 13 would be worth 26 points, etc.
Yeah, and the numbers get pretty astronomical when you start doing the multiplication with that. And like you have an underdog that goes to the Sweet 16 or even the Final Four. Yeah, you pretty much gave yourself the win.
Yeah, you could wrap it up before even the Final Four. Yeah,
something like that.
I like that pull because that favors a guy who's actually knows something about the teams.
Yeah, can pick the upsets.
Yeah, you can't pick every upset. You got to
Right.
You got to judiciously choose the ones you think will actually win.
Yeah, for sure. And then other ones are a slight variation of that. Sometimes they just add the seed number to the point. So, if you have a 4 seed that wins in round 1, you get the 1 point for the round plus the 4 extra bonus points. Mm-hmm. Or if you had a 13 seed, you get the 13 extra bonus. So those are all those kind of bracket pool variations. The underdog one, the multiplication one, adding the seed. Those are the most typical I've seen.
Okay.
Now, if you want to do something completely different, and this is one of my favorites because it involves no thinking, right? It's just a complete gamble, is something called a takeover pool. And you can find, 64 people to play, which would be great. But if not, you can each take multiple teams. But you're randomly given a team at the beginning of the tournament. And now you are looking at spreads for these games. So let's just pretend you end up with Illinois, or you end up with a 16 seed, and you're like, oh, wow, we're never going to beat Kansas tonight, whoever it may be. You don't have to beat Kansas. You just have to beat the spread. So if you find out that your 16 seed is a 28-point dog to the number 1 team in the league, all you have to do is make sure that you cover. And if you cover, you now take over whatever team moves on.
Right.
So this allows you to have this bad team that suddenly ends up becoming Kansas or Duke or something like that.
Right, good. So, yeah, in your example, the person who had Kansas, if Kansas doesn't cover, even though Kansas is advancing, they're out.
They're out.
Yeah.
Exactly. And now someone else gets Kansas moving forward.
I like that. We used to do a pool that was like that, except not against the spread. We randomly assign teams, and then you got more money as you go along. But I like this better.
Yeah, I like this a lot.
Yeah, because if you end up with a 15 or 16 seed, you stop watching. You're like, okay, I'm not.
You're right.
This. I have no chance. You're really rooting for the first seed. In this one, every game you're really involved, right? You know you have a chance. You just got to make sure you clear that spread, and you can end up with an amazing team by the time you get to the Final Four.
Let me kind of go off on a tangent a little bit here. So when you're talking about the spread, let's say you're in a pool like that. How would you determine the point spread? Would there be a cutoff time? Is there, because, lines are moving all the time.
Lines move, right? Yeah, so typically we're using, something like CBS Sports or OfficeFootballPool.com, in which that they will tell you when the spread is locked in.
Okay,
and it's usually not the opening line. It's usually, the day before the game or something like that. And obviously with the, basketball, the games can happen on Thursday and again happen Saturday. So there's not too much time for the line to move as like football. But yeah, usually it's the day before the game, the line locks in on whatever you're using. If you're going to do it on paper and pen with your friends, then there'd have to be some sort of agreement that we're going to follow the line in the paper or something like that, or the opening line. But I usually do it online. Yeah,
that was kind of what you were doing in the podcast superiority pool, which I think we used officefootballpool.com, right? And the line would come out and it would just be, set like on Tuesday or whatever. And for the purposes of the pool, it wouldn't move. And all the lines were half points too. So you would never have a tie situation.
Yeah, definitely for this. You couldn't have that. You couldn't have a tie for this either. So everything would be a half point, correct?
Yeah. And congratulations on winning that pool, by the way. Vinny,
well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'll move on, if you'd like, to some other types. I mean, you may have heard me mention this on our last episode, and we actually did one in the NFL as well for the Super Bowl. One of my favorites is the minute pool, and that caused a lot of controversy because of the amount of money that 0-0 won in the Super Bowl.
It was my son. He had the 0-0 square for most of it. Yeah.
Oh, you said your son had the
Yeah, we did that. We did the minute pool based on, hearing it on your show. And my son had 0-0. And what was it? Almost half the payout went to 0-0?
I think it was 29 minutes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's not going to always be that way. I mean, 0-0 is always great to have, right, in football, but definitely don't expect it to be half the game. That was a little unexpected. But
so
in basketball, think about it. There's no bad numbers, right? So in football, you get 8-2 and you're upset. I'm not winning any money. But in basketball, who cares? Take 8-2. It could happen every minute. Who knows?
Yeah. So you're talking about 100-square pool, and I think most listeners are probably familiar with this for Super Bowl, where you have a 100-square pool and you randomly assign the numbers 0 through 9 to all the rows and all the columns in this big grid, and all the columns correspond to one team, all the rows correspond to another team, and you look at the last digit in the score to determine who wins. And in this example, whatever the score is at each minute, each rounded minute of the game, if you have the square that has that score, you get paid.
Yeah, it's as soon as a minute. So like when the game starts and there's 20 minutes left in the half, as soon as it hits 19 minutes, whatever the score is at 19 minutes exactly. And that's why in basketball, someone has to really be keeping track.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right?
That'd be hard in basketball.
There might even be some discrepancy, wouldn't there? It's like, when did the basket drop, right?
Right.
Well, luckily, ESPN.com, they show like every play. Right?
Oh, yeah,
every
right.
basket.
Yeah.
They'll show you the time when they recorded. You need to watch that, right? And then the way this happens is usually you're getting, for this case, you're getting 2 times your buy-in for every minute. So let's just say it's $100. You're getting $200 for every minute. And then for halftime, you're getting 4 times your buy-in and then 8 times your buy-in for the final. So there is a little bit of an escalation in the prize if you have the final score at halftime and final score at the final.
Okay,
but
good.
Usually there's a chance throughout the game to get multiple minutes.
Yeah. I like that one too.
Yeah, you'd be the guy rooting for no scoring, right? Like how they sometimes teams go on a run and nobody scored in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like usually you're
if it's
against
on your
that,
square,
you're
but
boring,
yeah.
But if it's on your square.
In football, you're sitting there for long periods of time. You're like, I can't put together any type of field goal, a safety, any way to get to my number. And
right.
You just feel like you're out of it. At least in this, you're always going to have a chance. There's always going to be some way to kind of get to that number you need, I'm sure.
Yeah. Especially with 3-pointers, right? You got 2 points, 3 points, and then
and free throws. Sure, of course,
right?
yeah.
I mean,
There's no bad numbers. And to kind of also not necessarily piggyback, but another common pool in football is survivor pools, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
That's another one I love doing in the during March Madness is survivor pools, whether it's against the spread or not against the spread. A lot of people who are kind of new to this, they start picking their favorite teams, the 1 seeds, the 2 seeds, and all of a sudden they're left with no one to pick towards the end.
Yeah,
of the
right. That's the big difference.
Exactly. In survivor pools, you might end up with no one in the Elite Eight, and that's not good. So you got to really be good at who you're picking early on.
Yeah. I guess the thing is, and Mike, I think we kind of talked about this some episodes back, you'd really need to make sure that the people participating were on top of it. Because if it was, if you were doing it every day, even if it was every round, that's every 2 days you got to make a choice. But if it was every day, hey, make your choice for Thursday, make your choice for Friday. You really, it's not like the NFL where you have a whole week to wait.
Well, and it'd have to be with close friends, right? You wouldn't want somebody who you don't know that well, because you'd have to pressure them to make their picks.
Oh, if you were running it and that kind of thing. Oh, yeah.
Running it would be a nightmare.
It's like, well, you didn't make your pick, you're out of it.
Yeah.
That would have to be the caveat at the beginning.
Right.
Right?
As long as they pay first, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing.
We'll take some lazy people in the pool. I mean, a lot of the online sites, like I know Office Football Pool, they have you can put in a default or something like that.
Oh, okay, right.
The worst ranked team or something,
yeah.
Or the closest spread or something.
Right.
There's different default options you can have there.
Yeah.
And I'll say the last pool that I love, but I think that it's a little harder to arrange. I haven't done these online. I've just done them in person. And that's like a Calcutta auction pool. Have you heard of any Calcutta pools before?
No.
Never been in one, no.
Or that's a big golf term I know as well. It's pretty much when a bunch of people are participating in an auction in which you kind of have a prearranged scale of percentages to the winners. So everyone can decide in the beginning, let this say 10 of us, and Kansas is up for auction. And we can all decide, I want to put $100 on Kansas, or I want to put $200 on Kansas. And you compete to buy that team for the whole tournament. Now, if they win, every game they win, they're getting a small percentage of the overall pool, and then they're getting a escalated percentage if they do win the whole entire championship. You don't have to buy any of those top teams. You can come in and let me spend $800 on Kansas, and Mark spends $700 on Duke, and you buy, Illinois for $50, and they end up winning, and you get a huge percentage of the pool.
Yeah. Right. And so do you kind of get together like you would for a fantasy football draft? Do you all get together and make it a party where you're all together, or you do it online, or what?
We've only done them live. I have not found, a site that's run something like this, but yes, we've done them live.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way, in my opinion, to do it. But it's a little harder, obviously, to do that. So usually you're having more than one team, too. I mean, if I went out and bought all the teams, it's kind of not a good idea for me to spend $2,000 on teams and then the other 7 guys spend $50 on their teams. I have nothing to really win, right? So you have to really decide, what your auction or bid amount's going to be depending on the size of the pool.
Yeah. Okay, so we would say that this is a pool for serious players.
Yes.
Really serious players. Right?
I consider you both serious players.
Okay. Well, thank you. Well, good. Any other pools that come to mind?
That's the most of it. I would say, again, my favorite being the takeover, because you don't have to do anything and anyone can do that, right?
Yeah.
It allows you to not get a bad team or a good team. It allows you to always be involved in it. Maybe you get a couple of them. The hardest one, as we just mentioned, to run, maybe the Calcutta. But yeah, definitely different options for anyone who's looking to have a little more action during this time of year, even if they don't understand much about college basketball.
Good.
So now the big question is, how many pools during the NCAA basketball tournament in one season have you been in? So have you had like 5 or 6 or?
Oh no, more than that. I feel bad saying no. Everyone knows someone who's trying to get to fill a pool, right? So it's weird. They range from $5 to hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
Right.
You just feel bad saying no, and I'm like, let me throw a bracket in here. Let me throw a bracket in there.
Yeah.
But there's more than a dozen for sure.
Okay. Yeah, it's funny because some years, I've been in only a couple, or I think one year just one, the one you were running, and then the other years I'm in like 10 or 12 of them.
Yeah.
So football's different because there's so many pools all year long.
Right.
You can get in.
But don't you feel that, the reason why and some people say, I can only concentrate on one pool or 2 pools at a time. I get that. I just feel like I am kind of hedging, or I'm helping myself out by being in more pools, because I find that I'm then gambling less on sports, which to my opinion is far more dangerous, right? So I would rather be involved with as many pools as possible, keep me occupied, whether they're small buy-ins or higher buy-ins, because I know at the end of the year it's going to be a lot safer for me.
Right.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, Vinny, of course, we've got kind of a vested interest in this tournament because San Diego State will be going, probably the highest seed that they've ever been in the tournament. And although Mike and I did not attend San Diego State, my wife did, my parents did.
My wife did.
Right. And Mike and I, we both went to UC San Diego, and they've got a basketball team, but what is it, Division?
They're Division 2 now.
Now. They used to be Division 3.
They're going to be Division 1. They're going to
Are they
one.
really?
Yeah, in a couple of years.
Oh, okay. So anyway, that the basketball team here in San Diego, it's the Aztecs.
Yeah,
so.
and we grew up in the area. It's near our home,
Yeah.
so it's kind of like our home team.
Yeah.
It's funny because when Kawhi Leonard was there, they made it to the Sweet 16, and that was exciting and everything. But I really thought this year they have a chance to get to the 8. I really do. I really do, and potentially to the 4. Now, winning it all, that might be a little rough, but they're good enough to compete with anyone in the country.
Sure.
And
this is as good a year as any.
Yeah.
Right? There's
Right.
no clear favorite. There really
isn't.
It's anyone's game.
Yeah.
Well, having said that, though, I'm going to put you on the spot. Now, we're recording this before Selection Sunday, but Vinny, who do you pick to go the whole way?
Yes. Okay. So I would say the team that I am going to pick to go the whole way will be, oddly enough, Villanova. And I know that sounds weird. It's not going to be a favorite choice, and I don't want to pick a number 1 seed. I'm going to go Villanova, with my dark horse being Illinois. Those are my 2 teams that I would say
those are both good teams. They've had good seasons.
Very good.
Yeah, I followed both
and
of
they'll
them.
have good payouts for futures.
Yeah,
they're not favorites by any means.
Well, I, of course, am going to go with San Diego State.
All right. Well,
Because
you're picking with your heart, not your head.
That's my heart. But if I had to pick with my head, watch out for Gonzaga this year. Now, I know Gonzaga makes it every year, and, they always come up short, but they really have it all together this year. And they just look to me like, watching them play, like they can dominate anybody. Now, of course, Kansas is going to be good. And certainly like a Villanova, what Villanova is probably going to be a 3 seed. And, they could definitely be there. But yeah, I kind of like Gonzaga, and I'm praying San Diego State makes it. Of course, with nobody watching the games, who knows?
Yeah, there's going to be nobody in the stands.
And seriously, I played basketball. I played basketball, in high school and in college a little bit. And when there's nobody there, it's like it's a pickup game in the gym.
Yeah.
It's a totally different atmosphere. There's no pressure on you either. I mean, in the big game, with all the crowd, there's a little more pressure.
Yeah.
Do you think they pump in like audience sounds? Do you think they're going to pump in some noise or
Some noise?
They should,
like that?
yeah.
Something, right? They need something. I don't understand how these. Especially college sports, more than obviously professional. You're thriving on the crowd and the fans.
Right.
I don't know how this is going to happen. It's going to be
San Diego,
hopefully a one-off year.
In San Diego, at San Diego State, we have what they call the show. And I mean, it's a group of students and non-students who dress up and have all kinds of craziness and hold all kinds of banners.
Well, and a lot of colleges have stuff like that, and they've got the band playing loud,
But here, I mean, we really thrive on that.
Yeah.
I mean, people wanted them to lose a game so they could get a second seed, so they could play in LA and the show could travel.
That's right.
I mean, that's a legitimate thing here in San Diego. So now they're not going to travel. I don't know. It's kind of going to be a weird atmosphere.
It is, and I hope it's a one-off year. I hope there isn't a new normal being set because of all this. So,
God, let's pray there isn't, because that would be bad for a lot more reasons if this was something that went on. Let me tell you real quick about this roll I had the other night, Vinny. Mark wasn't there. I went Saturday night by myself. Decided to play a little, and it was going okay. The table was up and down, but more up than down. And then this guy Danny, a friend of ours, got the dice. So on his first point he made, I had $50 on the line with full odds. Second point, $75 with full odds. Third point, $100 full odds. Fourth point, $125 full odds. Fifth point, I stayed at $125 full odds. Then I went to 150 full odds. He made that. I went to 200 full odds. He made that. 300 full odds. He made that. 400 on the line, full odds. He made that. 500 on the line, full odds. It was a 6. I had 2,500 odds. He made that.
Jeez.
And then I went to $600 on the line, full odds. The point was 4. He did not make that. And he rolled so many hard ways. I mean, it was a $10,000 roll.
Wow.
It was crazy. It was
things I dream about right there.
Yeah, I know. I was like, the whole
time.
I'm thinking, how long can this go on? And the last point was a 4. And if he had made that, I don't know.
But only 4 to the fire, you said?
Only 4 to the fire. He never made a 5 or a 10 as a point.
And hitting boxes as well, or really just hammering those points?
Oh, no.
Because you said after he established that 4, he still rolled a bunch of numbers, right?
Oh, that last point of 4, he rolled for a half hour after he established that. I mean, he was hitting numbers like crazy and hard ways. Yeah, it was just unbelievable roll. There was like only 4 of us on the table, so it was going fast too. I just think I got home and I'm thinking, oh my God, if I could just have one of those a month. Yeah.
Meanwhile, when I went with you the night before, we get hammered.
Oh, it was terrible. Yeah. And I went home with such a bad feeling.
Congratulate Dr. Mike. I'm going to say sorry, Mark.
Yeah, thank you.
You didn't attend.
I mean, I ended up winning for the weekend, and I lost so much on Friday. I was like, oh, gosh. It's just one of those things, and everything was turning up roses on that roll.
You were running pure, as we say
running
in poker,
pure.
right? Everything just turns up roses. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Well, Vinny, thanks for joining us. Folks, if you haven't already heard Vinny and Big Joe on the 7 Out podcast, please go over and give it a listen. It is very entertaining. Big Joe, I think now has like this cult following.
Really?
Yeah.
And it's funny because we talk. I think he's actually going to be on The Better Life in the upcoming weeks.
Oh, good.
And it's funny because he keeps telling me, I don't know what to talk about. I love him and he's my everyman and we've been friends for 20 plus years. But he's just so worried and nervous, and I'm really interested to see how this comes out. But yes, he does definitely have a cult following. I'm kind of jealous.
Oh my God, that's so great. All right, well, Vinny, thanks very much for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
I appreciate it, guys. Have a wonderful night.
You too. Take care.
Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, please go to our page first. You can bet on that.com and click through our Amazon link towards the top of the page. All right, let's move on to some voicemails. First up is John.
Hi, this is John. I'm a first-time caller, and I started listening to the podcast a few weeks ago. I just started playing craps about a year ago, and since I've started, it's become my game of choice when I do go to the casinos. I often find when I'm getting ready to go, I kind of try to pick a strategy that I'm going to work when I get to the craps table. And my question is, how often do you see people who vary from their strategies? Because I will often start with one strategy, but then I quickly seem to introduce other variations of the strategy, whether it be just a pass line with odds or introduce more place bets or a variation of the iron cross, and I probably play the field too much, or I might go no pass line and then just place all the numbers. So I feel like if I end up losing in a session, that maybe I just didn't stick with the strategy long enough to kind of survive maybe the ups and downs of the table. And I was just wondering what you would recommend. When I first started playing, I was strictly doing pass line with some odds and would usually just place the 6 and the 8 for $6 each. So thank you very much, and I've really been enjoying the podcast. Thanks.
If you know what the roles are going to be, you can come up with the perfect strategy.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you're just going to have to decide how you want to play. And my only advice would be, if you've got a strategy going in, see if you can stick with it just for your mental health. Because when you start changing it and then you end up losing and you're thinking, oh, what did I do? Well, that's when you start second guessing yourself. At least if you stuck with it, you're saying, well, okay, I stuck with the strategy.
It's interesting he brings this up because just the other night when I was at the casino, Sherwin, you know who he is, who plays with us, was standing next to me playing. And he was not taking the 9. Instead of covering the inside numbers, he was covering 5, 6, and 8 and leaving 9 open. And then he was putting $2 hopping 9s.
Okay.
And Phil, our other friend Phil, said to him something like, well, that's a new strategy. I haven't seen you do that before. And Sherwin said something, and I was thinking about this driving home. He said, well, I'm being a little cheap tonight because I'm trying to monitor my money. So, he was adjusting his strategy based on how much he had.
Okay.
And so instead of putting a $10 9, he was just betting $2 hopping it each time. Now, I'm not saying whether that's good or bad.
I can tell you whether it's good or bad.
I know the answer. But it's funny, he adjusts his strategy to his bankroll.
And that's good. Did he stick with it then?
He stuck with it the whole time. Yeah. And fortunately, it was working pretty well.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. If you know nines
kept coming up, and he was, hopping it, so he was making as much money as if he had placed it.
It comes down to personality too. I am more likely to stick with the system, and you're more likely to deviate, thinking, you know what, I'm going to do this time. I'm going to bet this time.
Yeah, I'm all willy nilly. If you try and figure out how I'm betting, you've got to get inside my head.
All we can say is, hey, there are bets that you can make that have a low house edge. That's our advice. Play in a way that gives you the most fun, but maybe for your mental health, try to stick with what you started with. All right, next up is Brian.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Brian in Ohio. Longtime listener, but I have fallen behind the last 2 or 3 months. Life has been kind of busy, and so I've been binge listening to your episodes over the last couple days, and I've noticed a recurring theme when you listen to episodes back to back and they're not spread out over 2 weeks. And that theme is that you guys have very, very passionate distaste in your mouths for San Diego sports teams. So myself, growing up in Southwest Ohio, longtime Bengals fan, I feel your pain. And especially this past season, I pretty much gave up on the NFL 5 years ago, but I was wondering if you would join me in jumping ship and becoming Raiders fans. And I haven't heard you talk about how excited you are for Las Vegas to have a team. I don't know if you how you feel about that, but I am curious and what your thoughts are, and if you think you could, root for a Las Vegas NFL franchise, even if it is the Raiders. And the other thing I had for you is I don't have Twitter and I can't do Twitter. I actually signed up for Twitter a while back just to follow you guys. I made a Twitter account just so I could stay in the loop with you guys. But my OCD brain could not handle the jumbled mess that Twitter is for my eyes, so I stopped and I can't do it. But I do have Facebook, and you guys have a Facebook page. Your last post was in the fall of 2018, so I was wondering what would it take to get you guys to be a little bit more active on Facebook? And because the 500 folks have a group, and I love that group. I would love it if you guys had a group too. So that's all I had for you. Unfortunately, no crap stories. Thanks, and have a great day.
Yeah, it used to be that you would be able to tweet something and Twitter would automatically post that to Facebook. You could set it up that way. And a couple of years ago, Facebook stopped that, put an end to it. And at the time, what I should have done was try to find a way to deal with that, because the whole reason that we have Twitter and Facebook is because, yes, I know there are some people who don't like one or the other.
Yeah, well, when he mentioned his OCD won't let him.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, maybe that's why I don't like Twitter. Because honestly, I don't like it. It freaks me out.
I completely understand preferring one or the other. And there are people who prefer Twitter over Facebook.
Right.
I understand. So at the time, I should have come up with a solution. Well, I have come up with a solution after I got this phone call. So once again now, every time I tweet something, it'll show up on Twitter and also over on Facebook. Okay. So no matter what platform you'll see this.
Well, it makes sense on Facebook?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It copies over pictures and everything. Yeah.
Okay.
I guess there could be a time where it'd be a little strange, but no. I've been testing it and it seems to be working out fine. Now, I don't know if we've really been clear on previous episodes. Maybe we've talked about this a little bit, but I just want to set the record straight in case some people don't know. We hate the Raiders.
Right.
We hate the Raiders. If the Raiders came to San Diego, we would hate the Raiders.
Right.
We hate the Raiders.
All I'm thinking is when he's talking about this, I'm thinking, yeah, I love Vegas, but if Vladimir Putin owned a team in Las Vegas, I'd probably hate that team less than I hate the Raiders.
That was quite a ways to go for that, but yeah.
Yeah, they're our nemesis.
Oh,
okay?
it's terrible.
As a San Diego franchise, they've been our nemesis forever.
Yeah.
I could never root for the Raiders.
No.
Pretty much anybody else I could, but probably not the Raiders.
My roommate in college was a Raiders fan, right? And we were watching a Monday night game once. It was the Chargers versus the Raiders. And it was 21-0 Chargers at halftime. And I'm really letting them have it. Do I need to tell you the end of the story?
I know. I remember the game.
Yeah, 24-21 Raiders.
Right.
So, yeah, we hate the Raiders.
It's really difficult for us with the Raiders. Now, it's not that we hate all San Diego teams. We've just been so
we're disappointed by them.
Oh, so many times over the years. But that doesn't mean our allegiance switches. At least not for me. I still root for my teams here.
Yeah, no, and I'm still a big Padres fan. No, we've just been disappointed by their performance. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, like if the Padres are playing the Dodgers, I'm always rooting for the Padres. Now, when the Padres are out of it and the Dodgers end up in the playoffs, I do root for the Dodgers.
Sometimes depends on who they're playing. Yeah, I don't have any allegiance beyond the Padres.
They're Southern California, so I kind of stick with them. But our saying for many, many years was I have two favorite teams. It's the Chargers and who's ever playing the Raiders. Those are my two favorite teams.
And it especially made sense because they're in the same division. So, yeah. All right. Next call.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike, BT from Chattanooga. I know I've called in a lot lately, but I wanted to do a trip report and share a fun story with you guys. So I went to Vegas for my bachelor party last year, and on the third night, we ended up at Golden Gate, which is my favorite casino pretty much of all time. I just love that place with the vibes, the music, the atmosphere, the girls, everything's just a good time. So at this point, I've had 6 hours of sleep over 3 nights now, and all of a sudden, some girl in a tight black dress with her bachelorette friends come up and bump into me, and she says, "Hey, can you teach me how to play craps?" Because I was behind my buddies playing craps. Because I was down about $700, and I was exhausted. I was like, no. I said, look, I'm not ready to teach somebody to play craps right now. I'm sorry. And then my buddy said, go teach them how to play roulette. Here's $100. So I told him, I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do black or red, and this is it. All right, you just tell me when to do it. She said, okay, let's do it. So I put on black, and it hit black. I was like, oh, yeah, high fives all around, everybody. I said, let's try it again. You tell me when. So she told me when. I put it down there, hit black again. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. All right, well, we've won 200. Let's go again. So we did it again. Sure enough, hit again. And then she said, I'm not feeling it. And I ended up being up $700. What I was down, just ecstatic at this point, and we parted ways. At the same time, I'm seeing all my buddies yelling at the craps table, which is right beside the roulette wheel there at the Golden Gate. So anyway, I walk over there, and he says, hey, get on this table now. So as it turns out, my buddy had the roll of a lifetime. He had rolled for an hour and a half. I won another $300 in about 15 minutes. It's just amazing. Everybody won pretty much over $1,000, and we're really low limit guys. But everybody was winning money, so it was a great time at that craps table. It was just unbelievable. The second thing I wanted to say is I also recently went to Manchester 235, which is in Manchester, overseas. And that casino had blackjack, 3-card poker, and a bunch of roulette. We played roulette for the most part. My fiance loves roulette. She's extremely lucky at it somehow. It pisses me off, honestly. It makes me happy at the same time because she's winning. It was a lot more intense because there were like 8 tables right beside each other. They had a different bet on the felt to where it was like an expanded view of the wheel. And so you could bet on a quadrant or a section of numbers that were close to each other. Instead of having to actually find the numbers and place individual bets, you could do it on the side, which was convenient. But there were a lot of different people throwing pounds around, like they'd throw 20 pounds on this table, 100 pounds on this table, then walk over to the next one. He's got money at 3 different tables going at the same time. So it was kind of a different atmosphere. But overall, we ended up winning like 300 pounds for the evening. And it was just a layover between going from Dublin back to Atlanta. It was like a 14-hour layover, and we just hung out at the casino the whole time. So that was a lot of fun. But the environment around the casino was a little sketchy, and that could just be me being from the South. But who knows? Lastly, I didn't know if anybody's ever brought this up. Like I said, I'm only about halfway through your guys' shows. But have you ever thought about doing group meets in different states? Instead of you guys going out to Vegas, maybe having other people from the other local casinos meet up in different areas, because I know the casino I go to, a ton of people from Atlanta go to. So I didn't know if that's something that could be organized through a website or something like that, or if there was ever any interest in that at all. Anyway, love you guys. Love the show. Keep it up. Thank you.
Yeah, as you continue to listen to episodes, you'll hear that we do go to meetups, maybe once or twice a year in different states. Gamblepalooza, we've been to Connecticut and Atlantic City. We're going to Biloxi here soon. So they're not meetups that we necessarily plan, because I don't think we're very good. We'd be very good at that. But it's certainly ones that we attend. So no, we don't have a website set up for it or what have you. But if you listen to the most recent episodes, we always talk about where we're going to be if we've got upcoming trips. Yeah.
And a lot of other podcasts.
Definitely, sure.
Have meetups and stuff. So.
And we will attend those as well. Glad you brought that up. Actually, on the most recent episode of 500, they said no summit this year. They're not going to do the summit. Yeah. And I'm sure it has something to do with the fact that they've closed down that whole showroom there where they normally do it. That's where their new sports book is going to go. And they're building Circa, and, it'd probably, so, but not this year, maybe next year. Yeah.
I love his story about the girl on the roulette table.
Yeah.
Don't you just, why are some people so lucky at roulette? Because it seems like, why they just walk up and win a ton of money on roulette? How's that work?
Yeah.
It never seems to work for us.
Really? That's your question?
Yeah, that's my question.
Gambling podcast? You're going to ask me, why are some people just lucky at roulette?
Yeah, why roulette?
I'm just going to assume that's a rhetorical question, and I'm not going to answer it. What do you think of that?
It's rhetorical. It just pisses me off.
Yeah, of course, sure. You're right. Just like his wife always winning, right? What's the deal?
Yeah, what's the deal?
Nobody likes roulette. All right, next call.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. It's Vinny from Vancouver, Canada. I'm 19. I've been playing craps basically 3 times a week ever since I turned 19. Old enough to gamble in Canada, right? So I say love the podcast, listen to it at work all the time. I want to let you know a little bit about my craps history here. I was playing for a little bit, man. I was going up every week. I kept tripling my bankroll, tripling it. And then I hit a month of just big cold streak. Every session was losing my bankroll, losing it. And then last week I go in, right, it's a Saturday, nice afternoon, only regulars were there. And I'm playing, and I go down quick, half bankroll gone. So I say, you know what, I'm going to take 10 minutes, go outside, get some air. By the time I come back, the shooter had rolled for a 5 fire, which I always bet on, and I'm just destroyed, totally just choked. And yeah, I just thought that was kind of funny. Want to let you guys know about just how bad my luck was. But tonight, hit the casino, doubled our bankroll, and things are going good again. So I just want to say love the podcast, and thanks.
Sounds like you, Dr. Mike. Every time you walk away from the table.
Forget about those losses. Just go back. It's coming back. It's coming back.
Well, and keep in mind, too, that had you stayed, it probably wouldn't have been the same roll.
That's what
right?
you always tell me.
That's good advice, right?
That's good advice.
Could have been worse, could have been better. Who knows?
I don't believe it.
It would be different.
I don't believe it.
All right, next call.
Hey, Mark, Dr. Mike. This is Brian from Northeast Ohio calling back to you guys. My friend and I had such a good time on our first trip down to West Virginia that we decided to go back again. About a week later, we went back down to Mountaineer Casino, just over the Ohio border. Decided to lengthen our trip a little bit. We were there for an hour last time, so we allotted ourselves 2 hours this time. And I spent probably about an hour and 45 of that at the craps table. I'm employing a 5-count system, just kind of sticking to it, being patient. My friend was a little less patient. He ended up losing $6 and left about 15, maybe 20 minutes before I did. I wanted to stick it out to get the dice. And by the time I got the dice, I was down probably like $40. And I said, you know what, we're just going to put everything out there right away, go 5-count, win, lose, or draw, let's go home. So put down a $10 pass line bet and then backed it up with single odds and did 2-come bets, single odds. And when I had everything out there, my 3-point molly, I took all the rest and put it back behind the line. Well, yada yada. When all was said and done, I wiped out 2 don't players and walked away a $50 winner. So I was pretty happy with that. But the real reason I'm calling is because I think Dr. Mike would absolutely love this story. Walked away from the dice table, found my friend sitting at the bar, and sat down and started talking to him a little bit when a nice older lady, probably 60s, maybe 70, walked up and said, I would like 2 Coors Lights and a glass of ice. And the bartender goes, is plastic okay? She goes, no, actual glass, please. Then complains that they only have cans, they don't have bottles, proceeds to open the can and pour the beer over a glass of ice. I have never seen that before in my 25 years on this earth. I was pretty repulsed. So we drove home. We get to my friend's house. I'm dropping him off. We're talking to his brother a little bit. His brother looks at him, I swear to you guys, and says, that Guinness you have in the fridge is disgusting. I tried it, and it's gross. I even drank it the way you're supposed to drink it. My friend goes, how is that? And his brother replies, well, I poured it over a glass of ice. I have no idea what it was with yesterday, but 2 separate people in 2 separate states in 2 separate generations deciding that drinking beer...
Yeah, he got cut off there. What do you think of that, Mike? Beer on ice.
That's gross, number one.
Oh, all right. There are cultures where that is the standard, right? It's not...
To me, that is as bad as warm beer.
Okay.
Like in Germany, when I was in Germany, and they were all drinking warm beer. I mean, it wasn't like...
You're used to just cold beer, but
right.
not on ice.
Yeah, not on ice.
Right.
But warm beer was... I'd rather drink beer on ice than warm beer.
Gotcha.
I'm laughing because he said an older lady in her 60s. So I'm thinking, that's me.
Yeah, that's you. You're an older lady.
I'm an older lady.
Yep.
Drinking her beer. You know what? As he was saying this, so he's talking about West Virginia. West Virginia is the only state of the 50 United States that my mother-in-law has never been in. I should take her and go to the Mountaineer Casino.
You should.
Maybe I should
make a special point. That's pretty good. So she's been to Hawaii, she's been to Alaska, but she's never been to West Virginia?
Many times to Alaska, Hawaii, all the other states in the Union, multiple times, never been to West Virginia. Been all around it. Been to, Virginia and all the states around West Virginia, but never West Virginia.
Okay, all right.
So that's our thing. Maybe we'll get her this summer.
Do that.
Go down to West Virginia.
But like for her birthday or Christmas or something. Yeah.
Right.
This is your gift. Oh, okay.
The lady who's pulled slot machine lever 3 times in her life.
All right, so you may remember a few episodes back, we got a call from somebody who wished to remain anonymous because he felt he was getting comps from the D that maybe were above and beyond what he deserved. They were going to take him to a Golden Knights game and give them box seats and, roll out the red carpet. Well, we have a follow-up call from Nick.
Hi, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Nick in Kalamazoo. I've called once or twice before and was also an anonymous caller about comps at the D. My wife and I ended up in Las Vegas a couple weeks ago, and everything turned out okay. The D did end up taking us to the hockey game, and we were in the suite, and everything was great. We were by far the lowest rollers, but we had a really good time, and they definitely got our business when we come to town. Played a little bit while we were at the D. Got lucky on the craps table and hit the all tall small, which I don't get to do very often. Unfortunately, it pays the strip rates, but everybody at the table was happy. After listening to you guys, gave me a little bit of confidence. I was able to press my bets, got my 6 up to $180. That was pretty exciting.
Nice.
We also played another game there, which was really fun, called Deuces Wild Poker. It's kind of similar to Mississippi Stud, but it worked out really great for us and got us some of our money that we had lost back. I got a wild royal flush that pays 30 to 1, so it was about $600 in that hand. We wanted to go to bed, but we kept winning and walked away with about $1,000, which was really cool. I haven't hit something that high on the table, so that was always fun. We went to the Rio for the first time, which we really, really like and plan on staying there the next time. It's a Caesars property that we can afford. It was pretty clean. Everybody was really nice. I really liked their craps tables there. They had a couple of different tables. One had repeater. I don't remember what the other bonus bets were, but they had lots of options for us. So we had a really good time. It was my second time in Vegas. We're looking forward to going back in August. We also made a trip off the strip and went to Joker's Wild, a local casino, played $1 craps. That was a lot of fun for 2 hours. My $100 went a very long way. The dealers were rough around the edges, but were a lot of fun to play with. Everybody was best friends there. We didn't do as well as we did last time, where we walked away even, about 60% this time, so can't really complain. Buffet at Caesars, it was great. We had a lot of good food, a lot of fun. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see you guys there, but hopefully we get to see you sometime, maybe the next time we come. Thanks for the podcast. Thanks for everything you guys do. Really enjoy listening. Thanks again.
All right, nice. So 2 episodes in a row, we've gotten a Joker's Wild report.
Yeah.
That nice low-rolling casino in Vegas. Nice. I'll have to look into that Deuce's Wild Poker table game.
Yeah, so is that kind of like Deuce's Wild Poker video?
Well, I'll look into it. He said it was kind of like Mississippi Stud, so I'll research it and maybe we'll talk about it on a future episode.
I don't know about Mississippi Stud.
What?
I don't know. It's just not that exciting a game to me.
Oh, well, if it's not craps, how long do you stay and play anyway, right?
That's true.
I'm going to go to the craps table. All right, Mike. I'm going to stay and play a few more hands of Deuce's Wild Poker. All right, next call.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Bert calling from Virginia. I've been recently binge listening to your podcast and wanted to share something with you. I live in Virginia, and the closest casino to me is MGM National Harbor. And as you know, their lowest table up there is usually $25, and I'm a serious low roller, so that's far beyond my bankroll. So I've been thinking about this system I want to try up there, and I'm calling it the Dr. Mike. Thinking of buying in for $100 and only playing the center. $5 hard ways, $10 horn bets, but following the Dr. Mike prescription, I'll be pressing them after rather than collecting on them. Just wondering what you guys think of that. Love the work you guys are doing, and look forward to hearing more. Thanks.
Well, I'm glad he called it the Dr. Mike, because you probably know what I'm going to think.
You're right. Well, that's a very aggressive way to play.
It is. What he's trying to do is basically say, hey, I want to play on a high limit table.
Right.
But I don't want, and I understand that if you buy in for $100 at a $25 table and all you do is bet the 6 and 8, well, you could be down $60, right? After one roll, right? So it's just the house edge is just so high on those. You might get lucky and hit a few at the beginning, and you might be able to survive for a while, but I don't know. I think
it'll eat you up pretty quick.
Yeah.
Because you'd have to hit a hard way, and you'd really have to hit like a horn bet or hit a.
Well, especially if you're parlaying afterwards
hit a high
too.
Low, right? Yeah.
Well,
if you hit them and you parlayed, and if you got lucky enough, let's say you sat down and 3 of the first 4 rolls were a horn number, you'd be all right.
Sure, of course, right.
But then it eats you up after a while.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think you'd last very long. Good luck.
It is hard there, though, because when I was there were lowest table was $25.
Yeah.
It's a hard place to play craps.
Yeah, and if that's the closest place to you, it's really the only game in town. You know?
Right.
Maybe find a bubble craps game, but I understand people who it's just not quite as fun. So
yeah. What about just betting the 4 and 10 for a quarter each?
I mean, yeah, that's fine. But again, you could be done in 2 rolls, right?
Right.
So
That's true.
I mean, I don't see that. I think I'd rather go 6 and 8, 30 each.
Yeah.
Right, and see how you do. But there's a very real possibility that you'll only be there for 4 rolls total, right? 2 shooters,
right?
0.7.
Yeah.
All right. Next up is Jessica.
Hi, this is Jessica from San Francisco. I just wanted to call with a little trip report. I was in Portland, Oregon, and so I went to, however you say that casino's name, Ilani, whatever it is. You guys know.
Yeah, that casino, it's spelled I-L-A-N-I, but it's pronounced Ilani. Right, we've kind of talked about it before. So if you didn't know and you looked at it, you'd think, Ilani, but it's Ilani.
Ilani.
Yeah,
well, that's rough for a guy like me.
Yeah, definitely.
I had a great time. There was just a ton of tables, almost all of them open on a Friday night. By the time I left, they all were open. I picked a table that had some open space and tried not to pay attention to what else was going on the other tables for fear of FOMO or whatever. And everything was fine. It was, up and down as per normal. And then we had a guy just kept rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling. He rolled so long at one point I thought, I should turn my bets off because it's got to be coming. Like, I've already pressed these up. It's got to be coming. So I turned off my bets, and then he hit the 6 again. He hit the 8 again, and there goes my kid in the background. And so once he hit both those again, I was just like, now I've missed out on 2. I'm just going to go with it. And, wouldn't you know, he hit my numbers 4 more times before he settled out. So I made the right decision. The best part of this guy's roll, though, was he was barely betting. He was paying pass line and odds for himself and nothing else. And the guy next to him was just making hundreds and hundreds of dollars every roll. And eventually, this guy that's making all this money looks at him and is just like, you're not playing anything. And he gave the dealers 30, 30, 25, would do 85 to start him out on the 5, 6, and 8. And then eventually he put him on the 4 and the 10 as well. And so I know the guy rolling made over $100 for himself just on what somebody else had bet for him. And it was the first time I saw that happen in person. It was just really heartwarming. Anyways, I love your guys' show. I hope you're feeling better, Dr. Mike. I can't wait for the next show. Thanks. Bye.
Mike, you are very good at compensating a shooter who maybe has a really great role but doesn't make a lot of money for himself.
Right.
And we do see it a lot. Sometimes, right, there are people either they're new to the game or they don't have a big bankroll. So you're very good at that.
Yeah. This weekend, $1,500.
You tipped on the shooter? Yeah.
To shooters.
So it was one of them that we were talking about, the big roll that you had?
Yeah. That roll, he bets a fair amount of money.
Okay, so this isn't the same example, but yeah.
Throwing $500 extra at him was nice because he had such a monster.
But you do see it every once in a while where, maybe all they have is the pass line, no odds.
Yeah.
They're not making points, but they're making numbers. And so,
I feel so sorry for those people. But I understand their plight because, you get limited bankroll and the guy's thinking. Yeah. And I understand what Jessica was saying because on that big roll I was talking about, when I had like 400 on the line with odds, I'm thinking, what am I doing? I should just go back to like a $50 bet because it's going to come, right? He's not going to make this point. I'll look like a genius if I go back. But no, I stayed 5, and then I, eventually have 600 on the line.
And then she was talking about FOMO too. Jessica, it's just like the previous call where we were saying, hey, don't worry about the other table. If you were on that other table, it'd be different. So you can't be thinking, oh, why am I not over there? Why didn't we stay over at that table, Mark? Yeah. I hear that every week. Why'd we move tables, Mark?
Don't listen to him, Jessica. You just keep on thinking that.
All right, last call.
Hi, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Jake from Brooklyn, just calling with a quick trip report from last weekend. My girlfriend and I went out to Atlantic City. We enjoyed the Golden Nugget maybe 5 or 6 times a year. Got there on a Friday night a little bit late. Went right to the craps table. I had a nice little roll going, hit maybe 3 or 4 points. And of course, this guy comes over with $300-$400 change, cashes in, doesn't play, boom, 7 out. It was around 11:30, so I actually went upstairs to go to sleep. Afterwards, got up in the morning, about 8:30, 9 o'clock. We had breakfast and then headed over to the Borgata. I always loved the building, but I was never a fan of the craps there. I always find the dealers aren't the friendliest. And I just feel like they're sometimes out to get you, like they're hoping you lose or something. Whereas at the Golden Nugget, I feel like the dealers, especially when you tip them a little bit, they're kind of rooting for you, and it makes it a lot more enjoyable. Lost a quick $400-$500 after that, and headed back to the Golden Nugget. Got there around 1 p.m. after a quick little bite to eat. Table was doing pretty great. I went on a roll, hit the old tall, another 3 or 4 points. By this point, I had about doubled my bankroll for that little session, bringing me up to about even. And then this guy walks up to the table, betting the don't, and decided to throw the dice. I told my girlfriend that that's kind of really bad luck, and I was betting very, very conservatively. I placed the 5 and 9 for the minimum bet, which was $10. Boom, he hit a quick point. So I upped my bet. He rolled for about 20 to 25 minutes, getting more and more angry as the roll went on. Hit about 5 or 6 points, and he must have bought in for an additional 1 or 2 times his initial starting bankroll, and lost the whole way. By this point, I was up about 4 to 5 times my bankroll for the whole trip. And it was an unbelievable roll. After dinner, I went down there for one more shot. It was just me and my girlfriend, and I went on a tear for about 10 minutes, but it's pretty quick. It was just the 2 of us. hit about 3 or 4 points, up another maybe one time my initial bankroll, and cashed out. So overall, a really great trip. And always enjoy listening to you guys. Have a good week.
Yeah, shooting from the don't. It's that risk where you have that great roll. Everybody's winning. You're so angry at yourself.
It's probably my favorite thing on a craps table. I love when some guy shoots from the don't and has a monster roll.
I'll tell you, if you insist on shooting from the don't, maybe do this. As soon as you make a point, then pass the dice.
Right.
It's like somebody.
Limit your loss.
It's like somebody who's on the pass line who's 7's out.
Right.
The dice move, right? Think of it that way. When you're on the don't, I made my point. Rather than torture yourself,
right.
Pass the dice at that point. Yeah.
Jake brings up a good point, though. My favorite casinos are the ones where the dealers are friendly and seem to be rooting for you.
Mm-hmm,
Whether
yes.
they're rooting for you or not is irrelevant, but they seem to be rooting for you.
That's a big part of it. Yep.
And that's why we go to Harrah's Rincon, because they treat us very nice. And it's not just the stuff we get from the casino. The dealers treat us nice.
Yeah. The great
and they're
crews.
wonderful people.
Yeah.
That's number one. But like the Golden Gate, the Downtown Grand.
Yes.
Places like that, it always seems like they're rooting for you, like they want you to win.
Yeah.
And if every casino did that, the dealers would make more tips and the casino would be busier.
Yeah.
But we've also been to ones where it seems the exact opposite. Like they either aren't rooting for you or they could care less whether you're there or not.
Right.
And both of those things rub me the wrong way.
Yeah, that's where we choose where we're going to play.
Right.
Rarely does it have to do with rules.
No,
it's more about
how
personnel.
you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
Yep.
right. How they make you feel.
Yep. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. We want to thank some people for some PayPal donations. First of all, recurring donations from Kurt and from Robin at Anytime Gambling. Thanks very much. Also, a donation from William. Recently discovered your podcast, and I'm hooked. You guys are so much fun to listen to. You make long driving trips fly by. Keep up the good work. Thanks very much, William. And finally, a donation from John. Karma donation for upcoming trip to Harrah's Metropolis. Oh, nice. In Illinois. Oh, very good. Yeah. Good luck, John. Hey, be sure to check out our TV listing showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks. We update those listings every Wednesday using a customized program that searches through all the raw American TV data. Just go to youcanbetonThat.com/TV-listings. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
Or you can email us at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at YouCanBetOnThat and on Facebook at facebook.com/YouCanBetOnThat, where you may see some new posts.
Nice.
Finally, please go to your favorite podcast app and write a review on us. We love getting your feedback. Well, we still plan on going to Biloxi here in April. That trip is still on. Now, this whole coronavirus thing, just within the last 24 hours, has sort of exploded.
Crazy.
The president got on TV to address the nation. The NCAA tournament will not have crowds other than, what did you say, Mike, like family members?
He said family members and a few media people.
So we still plan on going. The only thing that's going to keep us from going is if we physically can't get there. Flights are canceled or, who knows. So as of now,
the last couple of days at our favorite Harrah's Southern California Rincon Casino have been very light attendance.
Definitely.
I've been there and there have not been a lot of people.
Nope. Yep.
And I don't blame people.
Sure.
Because even myself being over 60, I should be home. I shouldn't be in a crowd and health issues.
Well, and I think of our parents, both sets of parents,
and
right?
I don't want to get sick because I don't want to pass it to either a patient or my parents or anyone I love or know or, So we should probably all be very careful.
Yeah. So stay tuned. The other podcasters too, we all still are planning on attending, but of course anything can happen. So, but that still is the plan, April 17th through the 19th in Biloxi. So hopefully we can move forward with that. Anything else, Dr. Mike?
Well, I got a couple of stories I want to tell you.
All right.
Because with everything going on in the world, everyone's a bit tense right now and everything. And this might add a little levity to their lives for just a brief second.
All right, sir.
And you'll find them particularly funny, I
Okay,
think.
all right.
So Friday night, we went out to the casino, you and I. It did not go well.
No.
We had a pretty much of a losing night. And as we're coming back, we stop and eat, and I order way more food than any human should eat.
As you usually do.
As I usually do. And you make a comment about, well, now you'll go home and you'll have diarrhea all night.
Right.
Which is usually what happens.
And I'm not really trying to be funny. I'm just, telling you what's coming up.
That's exactly what's
or coming out, rather.
So I went home and felt great. I did not have any problems. I got up Saturday, went to work, and then Saturday night, without you, I thought, well, I'm going to go out to the casino and get my free play. So I did. Talked myself into playing.
Good. Talked yourself into playing. Okay.
That was a long talk. And then as I mentioned earlier in the show, guy had a monster roll. I won a bunch of money, ended up for the weekend. So I'm driving home and I'm going to stop and eat because I haven't eaten.
Right.
And I was going to stop at the Der Wiener Schnitzel.
Okay.
Because it was early enough.
Now that's showing your age, the Der Wiener Schnitzel.
Yeah,
okay,
right,
go ahead.
And I was going to stop there because usually that's closed when we get out of the casino.
That's right. We rarely get to go there when it's you and I.
This was just before midnight.
Okay.
So I thought, they'll still be open. So I'm driving and I'm so giddy about winning and this big roll. I drive right by.
You missed
and
it.
missed it.
Okay.
So then I'm thinking, okay, I'll continue on this road and I'll stop at the Carl's Jr. by the freeway entrance. You know the one I'm talking about?
I know.
I pull in there. At this time, it's like 2 minutes after midnight.
Yeah.
They're closed. Why in the world does a fast food place close at midnight on a Saturday night? I have no idea. Okay. Anyway, they're closed. So I get on the freeway and I'm thinking, God darn it, where am I going to stop? On the way home, I really do want to eat.
It's rough.
So I ended up getting off on Poway Road exit, which isn't that far from where we live. So it doesn't give me a lot of time to eat. But I went to the McDonald's there.
Yeah.
And they're open.
Okay.
Mark, and we have a hard time finding McDonald's that's 24 hours.
Yeah, right.
On our little, route. That turns out that's a 24-hour McDonald's.
Okay, good to know.
For future reference, I thought that'd make you very happy.
Oh, that does make me happy. Anytime I know of anything that's 24 hours. Yep.
So we get in line, or I get in line, and I'm in the car there, and the woman at the drive-thru, very nice, very pleasant, and I'm like giddy because I've won and I found a 24-hour McDonald's.
Okay, so you're on cloud nine.
I'm on cloud nine. I'm talking to her. I'm like, I'm so glad you guys are 24 hours. She says, yeah, it's been that way a while, and we're talking and talking. And so I order a 20-piece McNuggets.
Okay.
I get home, Mark. I open up the first box, 10 McNuggets.
Yeah.
I open up box number 2, 10 McNuggets.
Right.
And then to my surprise, there's a box 3 with 14 McNuggets. 14. The lid couldn't even close. It was packed full. I mean, she had 14 nuggets in there. 34 nuggets for the price of 20. I was laughing. And
Jackpot, Mike.
Yeah, my wife is like laughing, thinking, well, what were you talking to this lady about? I said, well, we were off to pretty good terms.
All right. So let me ask you this. Of the 34 McNuggets, how many McNuggets did you eat?
I ate about 24.
Okay. So you felt obligated to eat more than you'd ordered just because you'd gotten the free McNugget.
Well, the other 10 got eaten, just not that night.
All right. Great.
So
nothing like leftover McNuggets.
Right, yeah. So I ate the 24 of the nuggets.
Okay.
And put the other 10 in the fridge. And then I had the diarrhea.
Okay, good. There we go. I knew the punchline was eventually coming.
Right. So anyway, I thought you'd get a kick out of that. So we do know a 24-hour McDonald's, and that, to us, those are the important things in life.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
So then the next day on Sunday, I was out doing some stuff with my family, and the girls wanted ice cream. We went to the Dairy Queen, which is, near our home. And they're closed for remodeling. Okay. Oh my God, we were so depressed.
Sure.
And I said, well, let's go to the McDonald's without getting too far out of our way. It was on our way home, and we'll just get a soft serve cone.
Yeah.
And my daughters always get mad at me because I like to mess with the drive-through people. Mm-hmm. So, it's usually some deadpan voice or something bizarre. And Dad, they're so embarrassed when you actually get to the window.
Yeah.
So the guy takes order, and I'm like, we'll have 4 vanilla cones. Would you like anything else? We would like 4 napkins. So we get up to the window. He takes the money. It's this young guy.
Yeah.
And he comes up with the cones and then comes back and he hands me the napkins. And he, with dead seriousness, he says, I accidentally picked up 5 instead of 4. Is that okay? And I take the 5 napkins like disgusted. That's fine. And we drive away. And my daughters are going berserk Because, you know, it's just some young guy. They're in high school. This is probably one of their classmates or something, some young guy in the window. But we laughed so hard. 5 napkins.
You should have just crumpled it up and threw it back at him.
Yeah.
Cussed him out.
Yeah. Oh.
All right. Well,
I
good
knew
stories.
you'd get a kick out of those.
Those are good.
So anyway, think about that all week.
All right, I will.
Mess with the drive-through people. What the heck? Life's too short.
Yep. All right. Thanks for listening.
Good night.
Oh, sweet mother, I love you, Dr. Mike.